Hey, how's it going, guys? Jeremy Donson here with thedrumprofessor.com. Today we're going to be learning Numb by Linkin Park. Really cool song, very catchy. I really enjoy playing this song. You'll find that what we do is very repetitive. He does the beat over and over in the song. So if you can get these beats down, then you've learned the majority of the song. So like always, if you like this video, please do be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and comment below. Let me know what you think or any other requests. And if you do have a music request, get as many likes as you can on it, because I have so many video requests in my queue. I may not be able to get to all of them, but you know, I'll definitely do the ones that are popular and have the most likes on them. So really try to get your friends and everybody to like your comment on the song you want, and I'll be sure to do it for you. Also, if you haven't taken advantage of a free one-on-one live lesson with me, definitely do so. It'll shave hours and hours off your practice time and can show you how to do a song in 15 minutes or less on your own. All right, here we go. Let's get started from the top. Alright, so let's get started with this from the top. So from the beginning, you're going to crash in with the bass. And we're going to have a heavy hi-hat here. Heavy as in you keep your hi-hat slightly cracked. Okay, so we're going to go crash, crash, and snare, and. The snare is by itself in between those hi-hats. That's the whole beat without the music. Let's break it down. So once you do this, crash and snare and. Next is a bass with the hi-hat. You want to be sure when you hit that snare in between that you really work on the timing of when to raise or come down with your snare drum, or else you may be late. So you definitely don't want to make, quote unquote, make room for it by slowing your hi-hat down, because it's going to be off time and you're going to be way behind in the song if you do that. So because of that, let's think about how we're going to time this. So as your hi-hat hand comes down, your left hand goes up same time. Obviously don't raise it too high or you're gonna hit your stick, right? But so up, down, up. Up, down, down rather. Up with the left, up with the right, and then down again. So now don't overthink this though, just raise your snare as your first hi-hat hits. That's really what you need to concentrate on. Okay, so there's your first step. Here's your next step. So we have this. Okay, so next, you're gonna go and, bass, snare, and remember everything's with heavy hi-hat. So and, bass, snare, and is next. Okay, now once you do that, the next part you add a bass drum, and then we're going to also add a crash. So both of those parts together. So on the second half, we're going to go bass, snare, bass, and bass, snare, bass, and. We're going to throw a bass in the middle there. So the way to do that is bass, snare, prep stroke on the snare drum, raising your beater. So bass, up, bass. Bass hits by itself in between the hi-hats. So bass, snare, bass, and. There we have it. So now putting those two together. Then you start it over again with a crash this time, and the fourth time then we do 2 crashes. So let me just show you all 4, and then I'll break down the crash, and then I'll break down the 2 crashes on the 4th time. So here we go. 1, 2, ready. Ha! 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right there on that snare is where the first crash comes in on the 4th one. So let's work on that 3rd measure. So 3rd measure, we're just going to replace the hi-hat with the crash. So instead of going, we're going to go crash and snare and. Now, many of my students at first, when they do this, they tend to make a mistake of going crash bass, but that is your bass. So you don't need another bass after that. You just replace the hi-hat with the crash. It's still the same bass drum. So bass and snare and. That's the only difference, is you're hitting the crash instead of the hi-hat. Okay, now the 4th measure. We're going to come back to the hi-hat in between those 2 crashes. You don't want to leave it empty. A lot of times it's okay to do that. But in this case, you really want to have that filled with the hi-hat there. If you listen, you can hear that hi-hat in the background in between. So we want to be accurate to what the drummer does. So we're going to keep that hi-hat in there. Okay, so we're going to go bass and snare and bass, bass, crash, and crash. So the end part is going to go bass, crash, bass, crash, crash. And there's a hi-hat in between, so bass, crash, and crash. Okay, so we're going to put all these together from the beginning. Just one more, just a reminder again on that bass drum, on the 2nd and 3rd measures, you want to be really sure to get it in there quick. So bass, snare. So from the top, bass, snare, bass, bass, snare, bass, snare, bass, bass, snare, bass, and bass, snare, bass, and. Really important to sneak that in there. Bass, snare, bass, and. Prep stroke on the snare, bass, up, bass, and. Really want to make sure we get that. Okay, so all 4 together from the top. Ready, go. Then we switch to the rim knock. Okay, now after we finish that section, it's no longer a heavy hi-hat. We switch back to closed hi-hat, and we switch to a rim knock. Now, if you've never done a rim knock, this will be very helpful to you in breaking down how to do it, also showing you, when to hit on the knock. So think of it like this. It's like we're replacing the snare drum with the knock, right? It's still fairly similar. The basses are different, but we're just doing a rim knock. So first of all, on the drumstick, wherever it starts to taper off, in other words, wherever it starts going from thick to thinner, is where you want to hit, right in that sweet spot where it starts to taper on the rim. If you don't hit it here, let's say you hit it too far on the tip, it's going to sound more like this. It's just not really a good depth of sound out of it. If you hit it way back here, it's not going to sound right either. To get that really nice sound, you really want it right where it tapers. Okay? Okay, so the first step in doing a rim knock, and if you already know how to do a rim knock, just bear with me and double check. Maybe there's something that you learn new about this, how to do the rim knock, and if not, then here we go. Okay, so we're going to lay the stick on the snare drum, right? And if you're using electronic set, you don't have rim, then just put the stick over the drum and just have your hand like this over it. Now next you're going to take your middle ring and pinky finger, I'm just going to do it over here, your middle ring and pinky finger and put it on the side of the drumstick, and then your thumb is on the other side of the drumstick. So now we have that set, and then your palm, the palm of your hand here is going to be resting on the stick the entire time. You don't want to pick it up off. So the palm's resting, these three fingers are on that side, the thumb's on the other side. Your index finger is going to go straight along the stick. Now, if you notice, if I pick this up, it doesn't go straight with the stick necessarily. It's a little bit of an angle. That'd be pretty challenging to, you know, get that finger over far enough to do that. So a little bit of an angle there on top of the stick, so you can help support the stick's motion with that finger. Now, if you also notice on the bottom, there is stick showing in between my fingers. I don't have my fingers wrapped around, because if I did, it'd be kind of rocking on my fingers and you definitely wouldn't get a good sound out of it. So the proper way to hold it, it's going to look like this on the bottom. You're going to have stick showing, not finger, to where the stick is actually touching the drum, and the stick's going to rest on the palm of your hand, like so. That is how you hold to do a rim knock. Now, when you do a rim knock, again, you're going to be where it starts to taper, is where you hit the rim. The butt end of the drumstick is going to stay on the snare drum, and what you do is you raise up and then hit. That's it. Now, when I do a rim knock, my palm, the base of my hand does not leave the snare drum. Okay, I don't pick up my hand every time. The butt of the stick also does not leave the snare drum. What you do is you have, so if you see, this is what it looks like. The stick's here, my palm, the base of my hand is here. When I raise up, I raise using my 5 fingers here, all 5 of my fingers, and I just raise up the stick. Like so. So if you do it correctly, the butt of your stick and the base of your palm will stay on the snare drum. Okay, so now we know how to do a rim knock. So when we switch, okay, now when we switch, the part that may be challenging if you're not used to this is switching grip quickly to a rim knock. So the way I do that, as soon as whenever my last snare hits, I'm already getting ready to move. I'm moving fingers around, everything. Now you want to be careful not to like throw the stick into it and make a lot of noise and be distracting when you do it. But if you notice, as soon as I hit that crash with the snare, I'm moving. Right? Okay, now all I do when I do it is I just kind of glide the stick on the rim. Personally, that's the way I do it. Not always. It depends on how much time I have. But when I first started it, that's how I did it to help support it and guide it to where I didn't just go clunk, right? So I would just kind of glide on there, set it down nice and easy. I mean, if you want, you can just go like this and just set it nice and gently and not have to slide or do anything else. So as long as you can switch the grip and it's correct and don't make noise, do it however you want to. Okay, so here is the next beat. Okay, now this beat requires a fairly quick double kick with your foot. We're going to go over that in just a second. But first, so we're going to go bass and snare and bass, just like we did before, right? Same thing. But you're doing a knock instead. That's the only difference. Same thing, just do a knock instead. Next part. So the first step to the second half is you're going to go bass and snare and. Bass and snare and. After that, so bass and snare and bass. Bass is next. After that bass drum, this is the more challenging part. You're going to go and bass by itself, both. So and bass both. And bass both. Okay, so we got bass, 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 snare. Now the trick to doing this is your prep stroke, always your prep stroke. And then if you're having trouble doing those two doubles, contact me. I'd be happy to go over it with you. It's a very, very common thing, not only for my weekly students, but also for most drummers I talk to, including drummers that have played for over 10, 15, 20 years even. So some of them just never really grasp that there's a technique that really helps a lot with that. So if you want help with that, definitely contact me. Let me know. I'd be happy to help you. If it's really too much of a challenge for you, do one foot. So just do that each time instead of, right? So that'll make it much, much easier. The number one thing to remember when you add this double, it's extremely important. Do not change your hi-hat. Do not make room for that bass by changing your hi-hat. For example, right? You don't want to slow it down so you can have time to do it. You're going to be late in the song. All right, so there you have this beat. Also, the bass is pretty quick. That's definitely, I would say, the most challenging part of the song if you're not familiar with doing a double kick like that. Now let's go ahead and put all this together with music. There is a crash in the middle of this, so let's listen together and see where you hear the crash here in the first verse. Let's check it out.
So faithless, lost under the surface. Don't know what you're expecting of me, but under the pressure of walking in your shoes.
Notice it changed right there, and the crash indicates the change. So you're going to do 4 sets of that, or 4 bars of both of those measures put together. So bass snare, bass knock, bass knock, bass knock, bass knock. You do that 4 times, then you crash. And then you do how many more? Let's check and see. And then we switch. 6. 7. So we're going to do 7 measures total. All right, here we go with the music all together. Let's see what it sounds like. Awesome. So then we switch back to the snare drum instead of the knock and continue on from there. The song's so catchy. I really enjoyed playing this song. But again, guys, I hope you really enjoyed this. Any questions, don't hesitate to comment or email me. You can go to my website, thedrumprofessor.com, and contact me about any questions you may have. I'd love to meet with you and see what level you're at also on the drums. and show you how to get to the next level within 1 month, then show you how to break down songs and learn songs in 15 minutes or less. So there really is a lot of technique involved that I can show you that'll help you tremendously. So look forward to meeting you guys. Have a good one. Rock on.